What's going on, people? It's Flight Sports. You already know what it is, man. This is crazy. We got a lot to break down. Salute to all the others in the building right now. We're about to get things started. You already know it's Flight Sports. Listen, man. Uh, yeah, man, I'm disgusted at what's going on. How much more, do we need to see of all of this garbage? Uh, you got Charles Lee. This is a dirty tactic. I'm hardly even seeing Lamelo Ball even. Where is he? Lamelo, he going back and forth. They're trying to push Lamelo out the door. Point blank, period. I mean, this is just wild. I mean, in the shocking turn of events, Lamelo Ball is coming off of the bench. Can you believe this? We're gonna break all of this down. Lamelo Ball has finally. This is like the nail in the you know what, man. This is sad. The Hornets have completely pushed Lamelo Ball out of here. Lamelo, I mean, they got to see the writing on the wall. There's no explanation. I don't give a damn. Um, what you what you gonna say? We got all these people. You got. I can't believe it. And you got Del Curry and these guys co-signing this on commentary. They trying to make Charles Lee out here look like he's some damn guru. Charles Lee is a fool. Lamelo Ball is coming off of the bench for the first time, and Lord knows when. I got the exact date right here. It's almost historic what is just taking place. Lamelo Ball last played as a non-starter back in January 30th, 2021. He has been a starter for 238 straight games. I mean, that's just crazy what they did here. To do something like this is sad. Well, you can't say that. Clearly, they're looking to move Lamelo. I mean, that's clear as day. Stevie Wonder could see that Lamelo is on his way out of there. It's just trifling how they did it. The score right now is 49-43. And like I said, this is bad. Lamelo coming off the bench for the first time, and like I said, over 238 games. Lamelo is what I will say is he's putting up a lot of points. Um, this guy Lamelo is cooking, so give him props. Give him props for not allowing all of this to shake him. I think that's key. The Hornets are doing all of these things to kind of, I would say, get under his skin. We just got to keep it pause. We just got to keep it real. This is definitely not how you treat your best player. Who would do this in their right mind. So I mean, we you always gotta evaluate that. So y'all let me know your thoughts on the situation of the Charlotte Hornets actually bringing Lamelo Ball off of the bench now. Like I said, Lamelo's been cooking despite all of this stuff that is taking place. Um, we're gonna break this down because the Hornets right now we got to break into action. Um, this, like I said, I want to repeat. This is bad. Salute to Basil, in the chat. So the Pacers, they're up right now. Lamelo, Lamelo right now, he has 22 points. And this is really, I would say, kind of alters some of the starters. I mean, look what's going on with Melo. You got to understand, Lamelo, he's the driving force of this team. I'm seeing they started Colin Sexton. Miller only has 6 points. Diabate with 7, Bridges with 8, Knipple with 3. So you altering your. This is how the Charlotte Hornets are, basically hitting themselves in the foot. You got a situation where Lamelo, your best playmaker, is not even able to set up, one of your better draft picks that you selected. Your selection actually, you know, because this is one of their prime selections in Con Knipple. This regime. So I just don't understand, how this happened. This is crazy. This is a wild day. This is a wild day for the Charlotte Hornets. When have we seen something like this? Ask yourself. When have we seen a situation like this for the Charlotte Hornets where basically Lamelo is just in this? This is just trifling. I don't think we've seen something like this, and Lord knows when Lamelo ball out. I'm lost for words that they bringing him off the bench. I'm really can't find any sense in the motive. Talking about they want him available for the fourth quarter and things like that. Um, they should be ashamed of themselves. They really should. The Charlotte Hornets should be completely ashamed of themselves for what they have done to LaMelo Ball. How could they allow something like this to take place? You tell me. We supposed Hornets fans out there. Shout out to Joseph Abrams in the chat. You know, it's been a minute. He said he's really coming off the bench. Yeah, man. No, he's not injured. This is some bullshit that they've done to Lamelo. They want to bring Lamelo off the bench for whatever reason. But I mean, he's cooking. I mean, he got 22 points off the bench. You know, this just in 13 minutes, and this is at halftime. So you clearly see, I mean, the man is clearly pissed off to be playing like that. I mean, he's got to be. You would be highly pissed off too, if they pull something like that on you. Lamelo don't deserve that, man. All the things he did for Charlotte, even though they haven't got to the postseason and things like that, um, they're devaluing him, for whatever reason. It was messed up. I'm not sure what they are going to be looking to get, in my humble opinion. So this is a very, head scratching, move to me. I don't understand this. Yeah. If y'all could give me any understanding, I would like to know. What's your thoughts on this move? Are you surprised that the Charlotte Hornets, are moving in this direction? Because it's very shocking. In my opinion, to bring him off the bench, I think that was we taking it too far now. What is this all about? Charles Lee clearly, and I wanna. This is something that was on my mind too. Lamelo just nearly hit a game-winning layup in the clutch for you going up against the Toronto Raptors. You know, so that's just. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. If it wasn't for Emmanuel quickly, and his heroics, the Charlotte Hornets walk away with that win off of the back of Lamelo. Also, they just took out um, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They just defeated the Oklahoma City Thunder a game ago. So the Charlotte Hornets was actually, in a little rhythm. To say the least. 124 to win. They really blew out the Oklahoma City Thunder in OKC. That shocked a lot of people. Including myself. I didn't see that coming for the Charlotte Hornets. So I mean, and then they won a game before that. They beat the Chicago Bulls 112-99. So this is what I'm saying. The Charlotte Hornets was actually on an upwards trajectory. And mind you, before that they lost by one to the Milwaukee Bucks. So I just want to. It's not like the Hornets was on a downward. Like I said, the Hornets is it's just a not a good franchise. But what I want to tell you is they were actually, pretty, consistent and looking on an upwards trajectory. So for him to make this move in this situation in this time, it is clearly some BS, And you got Lamelo. They're gonna try to they're gonna try to play with Lamelo, man, because Lamelo got to be professional. He's not gonna sit up here and act like it's the end of the world. And and it is what it is. So people gonna say he coming off the bench, and you just all ecstatic. It's time to axe out. Well, Lamelo don't have a no trade clause. If the Charlotte Hornets really want to trade him, they can let him go. He does not have a no trade clause. If the Hornets want to move him, they can move him. But why devalue him in the process? You know, it, it's just a sad day. It's just a sad day. In Hornets land. For something like this. It just serious is. But I shout out to Noble Knowledge. He says they're just changing up his restriction minutes to play him more in the fourth. No, I mean that's some bullshit. That's what they're telling you. Um, I'm starting to think, and it's so crazy. Kendrick Perkins, some of that is starting to add some credence. Perkins came out and rung the alarm on this. A lot of people, including myself, I was like, I was a little, what the hell is this all about? Um, and then you see what's going on firsthand. It starts to make it look like Kendrick Perkins knew something, because this doesn't make any sense. Lamelo should be able to, you know, be a part of it, but for whatever reason, he's not. Um, the 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 Indiana Pacers right now they're winning. It's 62-60. So basically, if the Hornets win this game, Charles Lee looks like a genius. Lamelo comes off the bench. It's funny how they've done this to Lamelo Ball. That's wild. I can't. I'm shocked that they went this low. You know, to basically, and now if Lamelo's moved, what is he coming off the bench? For his next team. So what has happened? What is the NBA? What has happened? You know, this don't make no sense, y'all. The Hornets have never made the playoffs. They don't look like they're on an upwards trajectory. You got draft picks, even Colin Knippel. Like I said, it's no telling that he's going to be able to blossom into this player that the Hornets probably think he's going to become just because they drafted him. He's still going to be falling into the same pitfalls as the players before him. You look at not just Lamelo. Lamelo was going through similar things like Kemba. Kemba didn't make the playoffs. I mean, Kemba did make the playoffs, but he didn't really have any success there. And it looked like if Lamelo did make the playoffs, that he wouldn't have much success when he got there either. And to in the Melo's defense, because they haven't sniffed the playoffs in some time, but his first two seasons they was right at the door. So I always want to add that to Lamelo, man. I think that the Hornets they never been able to get back to that for whatever reason. But I mean that's their fault. That's their fault for not being able to get back to that. Um, a trade is definitely looming. Shout out Slim can hoop. That's evident. I think Stevie Wonder could see that. But what I feel is they are devaluing the asset. I mean, if you're gonna trade him, do what you got to do. But to devalue him in the process is just wild. To basically make him now a six man. It's crazy. Now Lamelo's not even a starter. So that's that. Tell me, in what world does that make sense? And as I'm looking at Melo, he's sitting here with Trey, man. He politicking. He's not looking like this is getting to him. But I mean, this is bad. They should never did him like this. Y'all got to be honest with yourselves. Lamelo doesn't deserve nothing like this. This is wild. He should have never been like that. It says, please let Lamelo get traded or ask for a trade. I want him in Dallas. So at this point, anything would be good for Lamelo except for this. Why would they trade him when every time he's on the court, the Hornets' offense actually works? It's sad. It's completely sad. What is taking place right now? The Charlotte Hornets are finished. They're finished. In my humble opinion, I think we are finally seeing the end of the line for the Charlotte Hornets. We're seeing the end of the line. The Hornets are no more. It's a Melo coming off the bench. Gotta mean something. Nah, this is bad. Nah, yeah, it's definitely time to go. I think that this Lamelo has to respond to something like this. They are forcing you out. So I think a lot of people want to try to sugarcoat the situation. I think Lamelo, to a degree, they've been trying to get him out. So he always man. I love being here. I want to be a part of the winning. Listen. They're ready to get you up out of here. They're ready to build around Con Knipple. They already have everything situated. They're gonna plaster him over everything. Uh, and like I said, and to no avail, this team is gonna go through the same struggles as they had with Lamelo and company. He will not usurp, what the players before him. It's because of the organization, not because of Con Knipple, and not because of Brandon Miller. They play for the Charlotte Hornets organization, and they all of the same nasty BS is gonna follow them. For whatever reason, but Lamelo can't hide from this. Lamelo has to stand up to this. He has to address this. He has to come out and say, "Man, how you feel?" Melo got to really request out, man. As much as people want to, I mean, Kendrick Perkins even said that it's time to ask out. That they waiting for you. Somebody lied on you early in the season, talking about, you was this and that. They wish that you never said anything. Lamelo immediately came out and debunked this. And I never did that. I never requested no trade. He put the clown emoji over the Hornets reporter, so-called Hornets insider, you know, came out and said these things that Lamelo wanted out, and Lamelo debunked it. Now look, if Lamelo didn't say anything, they could have used that narrative. I think that, Lamelo kind of bursted the bubble when he actually addressed it. If he just, like I said, he should. It was supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to go down like that. Now Lamelo's gonna have to ask out. You do really want to come off the bench because they about to sit you down for real. And then don't let the starters roll. You'll be sitting down for forever. They'll close the game without you. They about to take this to that level. So listen, it's time. It's time to axe out because now you're about to become a serious laughing stock. This is about to be a serious conversation. A move like this is gonna make ESPN. This wouldn't surprise me tomorrow. First Take does something on this. It wouldn't surprise me, if some of your favorite sports shows have to address this is big news. That when Lamelo not starting or coming off the bench. This is horrifying. The Charlotte Hornets ought to be ashamed of themselves for doing this to Lamelo Ball. This is this is one of the worst things possible. That I can't believe the Charlotte Hornets have done this to Lamelo Ball. I really can't believe this. And like I told you, I just gave you guys the timeline of how they was playing. You're talking about a team that was on a. I'm not gonna say because the Hornets, you got to be nice when you say upwards trajectory, but they was winning the last couple of games. They lost a nail biter, to the Toronto Raptors. Mind you, if it wasn't for Emmanuel quickly hitting that game-winning shot at the buzzer, you talking about Lamelo with the walk-away drive to the lane to win the game. So I mean, Lamelo did his job as the closer. I watched that game. Fourth quarter, it was tight. The Hornets was down one. And they needed a bucket. They gave it to Lamelo. And Lamelo took it to the cup and put the Hornets up. And they took Lamelo out the game for defensive purposes. You know, you take him out, and then you got the rookie in the game. You got the rookie guarding Emmanuel quickly. And I know Quickly's game, and I've been watching Quickly ever since we was with the New York Knicks. He has done nothing but expand his game. So when he came off that whatever screen off that let that action. Listen, this guy he was basically wide open. You had a rookie trying to guard Emmanuel quickly in the clutch, and quickly got a lot of space, and he hit the shot. Lamelo should have been out there guarding quickly. I don't give a damn what the hell they talking about, man. Who did the Raptors truly have in that game? Are the Raptors tanking? I mean, are the Hornets tanking? So we got to figure out what's really going on here. Is Lamelo being taken out so he don't try to win some games? I mean, what's really going on? But what's really happening is I think they can't wait for Lamelo to firmly axe out so they can let his ass go immediately. I think the Hornets are already on the phone. They probably got some deals in play that they're ready to do. And like I told you, it's gonna be some of the teams that was whoever wanted Trey Young is gonna be teams that want him. Shout out to Rap Guy. Shout out to the Chief. We definitely could do that. That's not a bad idea. We'll try to reconnect. I'm gonna get in contact with some of the content creators, and see what's their thoughts on the situation. Whether we want to talk about it, whether here or their platform, wherever. The main thing is really getting this thing out because, like I said, we've been documenting this for a long time. So I was on record. I want Lamelo Ball in Minnesota. So I mean, it's time to start the conversation because I want to repeat what they're doing to Lamelo now. Is Lamelo is not going to be able to sit there peacefully talking about, yeah, man, I love it here in Charlotte. I just want to build. I want to be here to build with what they are sending you to the bench. They got inferior players like Colin Sexton starting over you. That makes no sense. Colin Sexton is the starting point guard of the Charlotte Hornets with LaMelo Ball, MB1, the one of one on the roster. This is the best player that they have on the team. And they don't have this is ridiculous. So mind you, Minnesota wanted Trey Young. People talked about Dallas. Dallas, if I'm not mistaken, was in talks with Trey Young as well. You know, everybody that wanted Trey Young is gonna be in talks for LaMelo. And now with the Hornets, with the devaluing process, what they're doing now is no telling, what they're gonna do, with LaMelo. LaMelo may not even get they might send his ass to Utah or something. You don't know what at this point you can't rule shit out with Charlotte. Do you after all of this stuff that they're doing with LaMelo? Do you really think they want to send LaMelo off to go try to win a championship or something like that? Do you really think they want to do that? So I mean, do you really think that the Hornets are going to do right by LaMelo Ball? These are the things that you have to ask yourself. Do you really believe the Charlotte Hornets are going to do right? Hell no. I just told you I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up, in the team like he ended up in Indiana. We watching the Pacers right now. I wouldn't be surprised if he end up there. I don't believe that they're going to send him to a good organization. LaMelo just hit a three right there. And LaMelo is just very, very talkative tonight. He's got 25 points. Right now he's 5 of 7 from three. I'm gonna be telling you everything that's going on with LaMelo, but this is just very sad. What they've done to him. The Hornets, they got to be ashamed of themselves for this. Here comes LaMelo putting more dance moves on the team. He's just cooking tonight. Um, this is bad. LaMelo clearly, if they had a winning record, he would be in All-Star considerations. But they don't have any winning records. I mean, when he got back, I think he missed like a few games or something. He got back. You seeing a little bit of a lot of flow. With this offense, the ball was hop, skipping, and moving. It was like that. Now you're in the situation where you bringing him off the bench. It don't make no sense. I could see I really can't see anything. But if the Hornets was on a 5-game losing streak, you know, I mean, I'm just saying that Lamelo played very angry, but this is what Lamelo has to do. I ain't gonna lie. As I'm watching Melo, every time they bring Lamelo off the bench, he need to put up 40 to 50 points. This is how you make a fool out of the Charlotte Hornets. You have to make a fool out of these fools. Lamelo can't come off the bench nonchalant, dropping 12, 11. You know, Lamelo got to give him that business. I wouldn't be surprised tonight if by the end of this game, Lamelo is done with like 40 points or maybe more than that. Remember, I told you that. Maybe even more than that. Lamelo is still moving out there, and he's very aggressive. And every time he scores, he's talking crazy. Um, there's no reason to bench Melo unless they want to force his hand. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. They are trying to force his hand. Ain't no trying. They are. They are making it to the point where Lamelo can't come out here and act like everything is okay. He can't come out here and act like, you know, there's no smoke, you know, and this team is awful. The Charlotte Hornets is not a good team. So even with LaMelo coming off the bench, they still losing. I mean, this looks just nasty. The Hornets don't even want to win anyway. This ain't win now moves. The Hornets should have built around LaMelo. They should have won. Look what happened in Toronto. They went and got Brandon Miller. Not Brandon Miller, Brandon Ingram, pardon me. These are the moves that you make, if you really trying to really trying to compete. They don't go after, they don't get any good talent. They never paired, they never got Michael Porter Jr. from Denver to pair him. You know, you hear in talks with Zach Levine. I'm not an advocate of that move, but if you get Zach Levine, it kind of feels like you are, doing something with LaMelo. You got a guy, of course he's a little older than LaMelo, but you got guys that's trying to win. I would like to hope that Zach is not the best winner we have, but you would think with LaMelo they would do something if they went and got DeMar DeRozan. You know, these are win now moves. That's what I wanted to see from the Charlotte Hornets. I wanted Charlotte to go after a guy like DeMar DeRozan. I thought that would have been a good move, man. But for whatever reason, that wasn't the case. It says the Pacers on the 13-game losing streak. That's what I'm saying. It would look awful. That's what I'm saying. They're gonna have him coming off the bench, and they lost to the Indiana Pacers. There's no, and then mind you, they come off the bench. LaMelo puts up 40 to whatever points. 35, 40. He's definitely on that trajectory. They might even pull his ass out the game. You don't know how. Like I said, you don't know how sinister this shit gonna get. This is the Hornets. It's no faith. So it is what it is. Rap God, he says Jeff wants to build around Khan and Miller. I mean, that's facts. You know, um, that's clear as day. But what are they gonna do around them? Coke burning these guys, that's not gonna cut it. Unless they mess around and get the number one overall pick. I think that's the only thing that fix something like this for the Charlotte Hornets. They have to get the number one overall pick. What team really needs to pick more than Charlotte? Right now, look, they got Lamelo sitting. Lamelo, I feel like he just got his ass in the game. That's why I said they are. Now they really, yo, Kendrick Perkins was told the truth. You know, and I'm very disgusted. No, wait a minute, I made a mistake. I thought Lamelo was about to sit down. Is he? I got to see what's going on. He's sitting on the sidelines drinking. I got to see. And then I'm looking at Charles Lee and his assistant coach chuckling over there. So I mean, it's a mess what they've done. This is a mess. It's a complete mess, y'all. You draft guys like Liam McNeely, and you're still getting guys out the G League. You draft players like T-John Salon, who's elevating, but these were high draft picks, ladies and gentlemen. Even McNeely, that was a first round pick. So you want to see these guys produce a little bit better. Lamelo's very aggressive. They giving him the ball too. And Lamelo just scored it again. So Lamelo is definitely cooking tonight. He's giving them all he can handle. He got 27 points, 10 of 16 from the field. So that's what I'm saying. This all Lamelo has to do, to debunk all of this coming from Charlotte. If you got players, your starters not even putting up double digits, and he's putting up. He gonna come off the bench and drop 30 to 40. I mean, you just look like a fool, So I want Lamelo to do what he's doing. He's firmly on the way to maybe 40 points tonight. If Charles Lee don't pull some bullshit, and he's still setting up his teammates, So when you do something like this to the leader, of the team, to the true number one option, because as much as they wanted to listen, what they doing right now with Khan Knipple, they tried to do the same thing with Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller had to come out and say no. I remember it was something where they asked him about having experience at point guard and things like that, and he firmly came out and said no, it's not like that. So it is what it is, man. The fix been in. Lamelo step back three ball, and that's good. Oh my goodness, Lamelo cooking 30 points. Lamelo got 30 points, 6 and 9 from three. I told you he's on his way. He might put up 50. Lamelo might put up 50 points off the bench. Now, yeah, and they still might lose just because how awful the Hornets are. They think that Lamelo coming off the bench is the answer, since because they have no bench. Trey Mann and these guys, they underproducing. They sign guys like Connington. You got people on the bench just taking up space. They add no value. They might as well take their ass to the back. I was just looking at the bench of all the people that they got about 3 or 4 people sitting there that adds no value, right now to the team. So I mean that's one of our areas right there. So it's a lot of problems, that they chalk up and put it all on Lamelo. But real Hornets fans need to come out, and like I said, they need to acknowledge this disgrace that Charles Lee, Jeff Peterson, and these fools have done. Somebody has to hold these guys accountable, man. What have they did to Lamelo Ball? But I mean, I think they're gonna awaken him, because I think he should be firmly pissed off, at what they've done, because this ain't right. There's no reason why he should have been coming off the bench. You know, I'm watching this game right now. Lamelo is still dancing on everybody. They got to send everybody to go on Melo. They doubling him and everything. We got Con Knipple. He got fouled. I mean, like I said, these guys ain't ready. They know this ain't right. And Lamelo's still encouraging these guys. He's basically doing everything. He doing everything they asked him to do. Lamelo this season, he wasn't even always looking for a shot, being so aggressive. He was going out his way to help facilitate and pass the ball, even though he always did that. But it seemed like he did it, like they were questioning, all of these things about his game. Like he needed to check off some boxes for the organization, and the Hornets organization, you don't have to do this for this team. I don't know if it's because Lamelo played in a lot of different, locations prior to the NBA where it wasn't in America. Because we got to understand what he got taken out of high school. Remember, we all know the history. So let's not do our homework. Let's do our homework, ladies and gentlemen. We all know the Lithuania, and then the whole history, the Spire, then having to go to the NBL, and things of that nature. So Lamelo didn't always get a chance to play in the U.S. So I'm pretty sure Charlotte, like I said, that's got to be like Vida Loca. When you come from places like Lithuania and things like that, where you remember what they when you talk to them about these places. I mean, you could just see the dread in some of their faces, when they had to go play in some of these countries. They may never come out and say it, but I don't think it was the most pleasant experience. So I don't know if it's because of that why he's not saying, "Hey, let me just get the hell out of Charlotte." Charlotte is better than all them other places. Con Knipple just hit a three off the assist of Lamelo. So despite Lamelo doing his thing, like I said, they've hurt Con Knipple tonight. Without Lamelo starting, you affected his game. So now they're devaluing, like I said, they're devaluing other assets. When you have a point guard to the level of Lamelo, the vision, just the playmaking alone, you know, you hurt the squad putting Colin Sexton in the game when you got the IQ of a Lamelo sitting right there. That's just disrespectful to the game of basketball. It is. It is. What they giving him the Lonzo treatment. What they did to Lonzo was that was just unfathomable. So I just think next they'll be trying to play Lamelo like he's a 3-and-D player. They'll have Lamelo in the corner while Colin Sexton set up the team. I mean, this is just, I mean, seriously, you don't know what they're gonna try to do. But Lamelo, he got 30 buckets. He ain't going for the BS. Other players tonight, fell out. He said Sexton close to fouling out. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I wonder if he did that on purpose. I'm starting to think they didn't think Lamelo was going to be around. That's why they had some guard play this season. I don't know. It's a mess with these guys. But Lamelo was cooking. 22 off the bench. I mean, not 22, 30 off the bench. Pardon. I'm looking at a previous update. T. John Salon offered assist of Lamelo, and he couldn't convert. Bridges got it. He throws up a three. He couldn't convert it. Hornets get the rebound. They give it to Melo. Melo should just launch that shit, and he does. And it's good. Oh, man. Charles Lee should be ashamed of himself. LaMelo Ball with 33 points, 7-11 from three. Make a fool of this dude. Make a fool out of LaMelo. Make a fool out of him. Put up 40 plus tonight. They're gonna have to pay homage. So when they post all these stat lines, they'll say, "Oh, LaMelo had to come off the bench, and then he got to go to the podium with his dumb ass and answer to all of this." See, if LaMelo had 9 points, he could sit there and look good. Oh, yeah, LaMelo should have launched that shit from half court. LaMelo, three ball. Almost said, they didn't piss this guy off. He going for the juggler. Ain't nothing gonna affect him, clearly. Chuck Morris says, so proud of Melo. I mean, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. LaMelo Ball. Natik says, I truly believe his injury history is a problem for the organization. Now they want a top pick to replace him. That's clear as day. But the way the draft set up, that's no guarantee. So it's not even smart. That's not to even say, hey man, I'm gonna start tanking. I'm gonna start deliberately losing. There's nothing. It's crazy. You see teams like Dallas fuck around and get the number one pick. The Hornets should have got the number one pick with Wemby. See, that's what they didn't do right by the Hornets. The Hornets needed that pick more than anybody. More than San Antonio. San Antonio, they won a lot of championships in the past. The NBA really should have did things, to facilitate how things want to go, but they don't do shit like that. They like these smaller than small markets, but that was wild, man. It seemed like the fix was in for San Antonio to get Wembanyama. But if the Hornets would have got Wemby, that would have changed everything. The Hornets have not drafted well. We got to remember, even in the Melo draft, they didn't even want Melo. They wanted the other dude. I forgot the guy's name already. But, he don't went everywhere. He went to the Golden State. Then he went to Detroit. I don't forgot his name. But y'all know who I'm talking about. It was Edwards, LaMelo, and the other guy. So it's just crazy. It's foul. But LaMelo fell into their lap. Wiseman, see, I don't forgot his name. But that's who the Hornets really wanted. The reports was, I remember like it was yesterday. The Hornets wanted Wiseman. I mean, he was what Michael Jordan wanted. So they just people that was surprised they even drafted Lamelo, but he was just the best available player, and they would have been very stupid to pass on him. He was the best player sitting right there. You have to take him, and they did. You never even seen Jordan or these guys really thoroughly embrace him. Never. So it's crazy. Melo got to go for 60 tonight. Yeah, I mean if they allow that, he definitely he going 40 over. And like I said, he out the game right now. So that's what I'm saying. They claim that all of this was done so Lamelo could be fresh for the fourth quarter. It's not how you start; it's how you finish. That was the reports of the method to why Lamelo is coming off the bench. And I'm trying to figure out when Lamelo is on the bench, where the hell is he sitting? Because maybe I'm not getting a good. Maybe something going on with my angle. Because I'm looking at the Hornets bench. I don't even see Lamelo in sight. It's 90 up. Siakam. And that's sad. We got a tie game right now because I just want to see what all this was all about. The reports were it was because they wanted Lamelo to finish strong in the fourth quarter. So I just want to see what the hell is going on with this bullshit that they have pulled. So it's stupid. When the Hornets win this game off Melo's possibly 50, let's just speak it into existence. You're gonna have Charles Lee at the podium like some fucking guru. I'm telling you. I mean, this guy Charles Lee, he gonna be feeling real good about himself. How they've turned their back on the Melo Ball. If they was gonna do something like this, they should have traded. They should have got a top pick. See, the Hornets should have traded for Trae Young. Yeah, they got Trae Young for nothing. The Wizards, they gave up nothing to get him. I know the people like, why the hell would you do something like you? Listen, you just get another All Star, and Lamelo has never played with another bona fide All Star. So I mean, even if it's at his position, get Lamelo with another star. And then let's just go see where it's at from there. Charles Lee. Like I said, this is stupid. It's just stupid. The Hornets got a little draft capital. They got some players that's wasting away, and they're not active in none of these trades. As much as they struggling right now at center, why they don't trade for see if they can get Anthony Davis and try to hold on to guy like Cockburn or something like that. Maybe you could trade AD for Diabate or something like that, or some more, or make the salaries work and all that. Sexton and you know how this shit work. But I mean, see if you can get something for cheap. But the Hornets don't do nothing like that. It's crazy. It says Trey could have been a backup. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You could all of these things could have been revisited, or they start, but you stagger the minutes, and then where they both start, but maybe Lamelo or Trey at any given moment is playing more minutes with the bench. That's Charles Lee's job to figure all that shit out. So clearly, I mean, the Hornets, man, they have been on their job for so many years. To have a talent like Lamelo and never make the playoffs, everybody should be ashamed of themselves. Charles Lee should be fired. I was already saying this already that how could Charles Lee still be here? Mind you, so they bringing Melo off the bench. He's putting up whatever god awful number, whatever good numbers he gonna put up. I mean, what in the hell are you gonna do with Charles Lee? How is he gonna survive for another year? What the Hornets look like they have not made an inch of progress. They need to dismiss Charles Lee, and something tells me that's not going to happen. Charles Lee will be back next year for the Charlotte Hornets. Something's telling me that Charles Lee is safe, despite all the hell that's going on with Charlotte. Man, oh man, the Hornets are finished. They only hope tonight is if Lamelo just goes, heroic, and seal this win. Other than that, I think they're in trouble. Well, Lamelo Ball, I repeat, is coming off the bench. I'm on record of saying that this is completely disgraceful. Everybody should be ashamed of themselves. This is bad, terrible. They got McNeely out there. So what the hell are they getting from him? Thunder says Indiana lost 13 straight. It would look bad if Hornet. It'll be awful. And we know it'll make it even worse if they lose and Lamelo put up nearly 50. And like I said, Charles, yeah, Perkins said that. I'm telling you right there, I couldn't believe it. I mean, you got to look at Perkins in another light now. You got to look at Perkins differently. I started to think Perkins was bullshitting. I got to pay homage. You already know. I mean, Kendrick Perkins. I'm telling you, you got to walk. Yo, he rung the alarm. He was the whistleblower. Kendrick Perkins was the whistleblower. Pause for this situation involving Lamelo Ball because he said this before it even happened. You know, and he said, Lamelo, dog, it's time to axe out. And he said this kind of in a nonchalant manner. So it kind of felt like he said, Lamelo, it's time to axe out. You know, basically, they're waiting for you to act. They already played with you already. You know, they got rookies that this guy, what's his kid name? Sion James. These are the people who they want, to take over. They drafted these people. These people want their guys to succeed. LaMelo, he a part of the previous regime. He was drafted by Michael Jordan and all of these people who they never won and things like that. They ready to get LaMelo out so they can say this is a new Hornets, what they trying to do and this and they ain't gonna do shit. And what's gonna happen is they're gonna have teams like the Washington Wizards usurp them in the standings. Because Washington ain't gonna fuck around. I'm telling you now, Trae Young coming to win. They played him up there in Atlanta. It wouldn't be surprised if, like I said, Charlotte was in the pack with all of these teams, Detroit, Orlando, and every year I've seen every last one of them teams shoot up ahead of Charlotte, way ahead. You got Detroit, the number one seed in the goddamn Eastern Conference. They was a laughing stock a couple years ago. Didn't they lose 20 plus straight games? Most of these fools was on that roster. And they bring in Bickerstaff. Now they looking like they're gonna fool around and get to the damn finals. Now, what's going on with Charles Lee? So that's what I'm saying. There's not much has changed with this. Maybe you got Thompson. That's it. I mean, he's defensive. That dude is a monster. But not much. Cade Cunningham was on that roster where Monty Williams was coaching. Jaden Ivey, Stewart, Doran. All of these players was on that roster when they lost 20 plus games. It was an embarrassment, what was going on in Detroit. So I mean that shows you the power of coaching. The Hornets never got a good coach. Bickerstaff, I think he had a chip on his shoulder, due to his years of being an assistant. They never brought in the right assistant. They bringing in a young coach, to give him his first opportunity. When you got a team that got veterans on it, the Hornets they never went and got a real guy. Like I said, I'm an advocate for them to fire Charles Lee and hire Tom Thibodeau. That's just what I want to see. So the Hornets could actually get to the playoffs. If you don't want to hire Tom Thibodeau, go get Malone, who won the championship. He coached Jamal Murray. So now you're gonna have Lamelo. Lamelo coming back in the game right now, 7:43. So like I said, this is a weird situation. So like I said, supposedly Lamelo's gonna be fresh and ready to go, for the fourth quarter. For now, Indiana, they got a lot of deep. They got some tough players, even though they lost. Indiana trying to win this game. So the Hornets is a bad team for them to lose to Indy, man. What the hell? You got to get it together, man. Charlotte, they're going outside. Give Perkins credit, man. Perkins told everybody what was going on. Nobody wanted to believe it, including myself. I just did not, I could not fathom something like that. I couldn't fathom some shit like that. Lamelo Ball, to me, they gonna try to move him at the deadline. It's getting to the point where if they don't trade him, I mean, if he don't axe out, they just gonna trade him. Because they don't force you to the bench. And what's the explanation for this? To really have to come off the bench, it's no explanation to seriously have to come off the bench, man. It don't make no sense. It doesn't. It's bad. It's just bad business for the Charlotte Hornets to pull Lamelo Ball out the starting lineup. And you should have heard. I want everybody to go back and rewind and listen to Del Curry and the other guy. These guys are trying to make sense of this. They didn't give these guys the right, script. Because they looked like they was just stumbling over everything. They didn't know what to say. He said this dude is on the ballot for the All Star. And for some reason they have found some way. This is crazy. This is wild. Last year, Lamelo was the leading goal getter, and they still didn't make it. He still didn't make it. I bet if it was another guy, who got all them votes, he would have made it. There's a report out now that Trey Young is not expected to play much, if at all, for the Washington Wizards this season, according to the Athletic. The Wizards are likely prioritize retaining their pick, which is owned by the Knicks if it falls outside the top 8. Man, I hope that happens. Man, the Knicks might get the Wizards pick. Hopefully something like that happens. But that's the reports for Trey. But basically, what I'm seeing from Trey Young and the Wizards is next year, really. That's why if you Charlotte and you Melo, you might want to get the hell out of there because something tells me they're gonna retool a little something around Trey Young. They're gonna make a sneaky move, you know, and they're gonna have a top pick probably. So they're gonna have a lot of things working in their favor. Lamelo, one leg, step back three, and that's off. They try. Bridges got it. Oh man, he walked. That was wild. But they got called for a foul. Yeah, man, this is wild, man. What is happening with the Charlotte Hornets? Lamelo off the bench. How in the hell could something like this be? This is Lamelo will come off the bench. This is just as horrifying that something like this could happen. That Lamelo Ball could find himself coming off of the bench. I mean, like I said, everybody should be ashamed of themselves. I think it's time for Jeff Peterson to bring his eyes to the podium to speak because you should be ashamed to have something like this. Let's figure this out, man. Here we go. Mind you, Indiana is looking like they're gonna win this game. That's what I'm saying. The Hornets have big issues. Lamelo keep trying to go for it. Knipple for three, and he made it. Off the assist of Lamelo. Seems like every time Lamelo passing the ball is money. That's wild. This is crazy. What's going on? Charlotte Hornets look like they're not gonna be able to hold on because they down. And Indy, they look like they're ready to win this game. They can beat them. They feel like that. They feel like they're better than Charlotte, which they are. You got Siakam. And mind you, Indiana, they just in like a little. They don't even care. This season is a wash. They setting up for next year. So you got to think about if you Charlotte. I mean, if you Lamelo, do you really want to stick around here? Because you got to think what's going to happen next year. You're going to have to deal with Washington. You're going to have to deal with Indiana coming back. I mean, it's too much going on, at one time. I mean, you're only human. You know, um, it don't make no sense. But LaMelo got 33 points, 7 assists, 3 steals. Give Indy credit. Bridges going to the cup. And Bridges is fouled. He's going to the line for 2 shots. Let's see if they could hold us down. It should be interesting. Shout out to everybody in the chat. The Charlotte Hornets has made a drastic move and crazy decision to trade, not trade, to move Lamelo to the bench. The trade is coming soon. Lamelo step back three, he missed it. Lamelo going for everything. He want to go for that 40 ball. Shot selection, could improve a little bit too. But I mean, you start to think about it. Who the hell taking the shots? You got Diabate out there, Green, Knipple, and Bridges. Lamelo dancing. This is an ISO. They clearing out. Lamelo all the way to the cup. Lamelo not even getting no fouls or nothing. That's what I'm saying. He going to the cup, getting hit. They ain't calling shit. They giving Lamelo the ball. They probably feel like Lamelo's slowing down the development of Khan Knipple. You don't know how these fools thinking. Melo ball coming off the bench. You tell me if you could believe some shit like that. Who could have pictured something like that? LaMelo coming off the bench. Where they do that at? There we go. Khan to Melo. Melo has it. Oh, Melo pump fake that three ball. It was nothing. Bridges has it. Bridges three, and that's off. One, 106 all. What a tie game. We're gonna see how this thing gonna end. This game is getting crazy. Shout out to the chat. We got LaMelo Ball, NB1, coming off of the bench. I know nobody's seen that coming, including myself. Tie game. We got to see if the Hornets could prevail. That's the key now. Crazy game. we're gonna see what let's see if the Hornets can. I want to see how long this gonna last. Do you think this is gonna be a new thing for Lamelo? Is this every game? Are they trying something? Did it work? And what's the deciding factor if this works? Is it a win? I mean, I need to know what it is. Here we go. McConnell couldn't get it. Lamelo is out there in the clutch. It's a tie game. It'd be good if Charles Lee could create some plays or some kind of actions to get Lamelo the ball. Oftentimes it looks like Lamelo's just catching the ball, and it's just everybody get the hell out the way. I don't see any real. They don't make any life easy for Lamelo. And I'm looking at Charles Lee um, to try to make some life a little easier. Draw up a few plays to get Lamelo wide open. Get him in some actions. Coming off some screens. Something. Maybe get him a decent pick and roll lob threat. You got Ryan Kalkbrenner still out with an injury. Lucky they got him. You see what happened with everybody else. They tried to play Plumlee for a little minute. He ended up now he out of commission. So there's a lot of things the Hornets got to work on. Pascal Siakam got 27, 13 rebounds. Lamelo got 33 off the bench. Lamelo is leading all scorers. And if Charles Lee did anything to draw up some plays, Lamelo probably have 40 plus right now. That's all really Lamelo just getting the ball and just clearing shit out. No, that's crazy. This shit don't make no sense out here, man. How the Charlotte Hornets did this to Lamelo. Here we go. Here goes the Pacers, man. They're trying to go for it. Let's see if they can do it. Lamelo just got fouled off the screen. I mean, he got basically knocked out as a moving screen. So Lamelo defensively, getting some stops. Like I said, the Hornets, they're just so damn bad, man. I'm like, three of these guys, they all was in the finals last year. He's taking a lot of threes, too. Lamelo, it's time to start mixing it up. But Charles Lee, you got to think about how Charles Lee probably feeling. You know, you just got to believe how he feeling. He trying to keep his job. The more he can hold this guy out, the more he can say, "Yo, Lamelo's really the problem, man. That keeps him around for another year. It's time for him to be dealt with, but for some reason it's not happening. It's wild out here. Here we go. Here we go. Three ball. Neesmith. Now he just had a bomb, and he gave him that look. Charles Lee just looked lost. He looked like he trying to find somebody to blame. There we go. Lamelo with it. Melo kicks it to Sion James, and he nearly loses it. Knipple has he got fouled. Neesmith foul Khan. Yeah, Neesmith had a bomb. That dude was a good shooter. Neesmith. Khan Knipple, 88% from the free throw line. Money. Yeah, Charles Lee, he a mess. I don't think, like I said, Charles Lee, I don't think he really likes the mellow ball. I'm telling you. Here we go. We got a good game. LaMelo Ball. They got Hornets got LaMelo coming off the bench, but to no avail. LaMelo still giving them the business. This is crazy. It's a wild game, ladies and gentlemen. Crazy game, y'all. Diabate at the free throw line, 67%. This season. The Charlotte Hornets is in a tough spot. Seems like they just can't get right. They got a 3-point lead right now against Indiana. Are they gonna be able to put the finishing touches on this game? That's gonna be the $1 million question. Crazy. Great coaching, Lisa. Melo get the win. Can't wait till next game. I mean, like I said, that's gonna be the narrative. That's gonna be the narrative. So people think this was Ali. You think this was great coaching by Charles Lee? I mean, I'll tell you what. If you can't, if you can't compete, why not? I mean, why not just do that to your best player? You might as well. 'Cause what else? What else did you truly have? You know, it's not like you're gonna bring nobody else in, so you gotta play games with your best player. You don't got no bench. Let's just take the best player on the team, put him on the bench, and now you got now you one of the best bench scoring teams in the league. That's how slick shit is. It's a tricky game. It's 109, 112. Here we go. Siakam got it. Pacers down 12. Shepard has it. Here goes McConnell. I'm surprised they're not taking Lamelo out for defensive purposes. There we go. Pacers just scored it. Hornets up one. Lamelo has it. Lamelo crossing half court, met by Shepard. Let's see what Lamelo, he about to dance on him. Lamelo got 33 points. Lamelo kicks it to Khan. Khan going for the bucket, and he couldn't convert it. But he gave it to Khan. That's who they want as this fight. I don't think they pushing Melo out. Hey, I don't. Okay, man, we'll have to see. But this is a bad narrative though to put Lamelo on the bench. Oh wow, yeah, the Hornets just blew this game. What the hell? What the hell happened? Yeah, Charles Lee is hot. We got to get Lamelo out the game. They taking Melo out the game. This is crazy. Yeah, they playing with Lamelo. They take Lamelo out the game like it's going out of style for defense. Shit, and it'd be funny. The Hornets look like they're about to go down three. They done lost the ball. They done lost the fucking game. But what I will say is gonna be funny because I just know I bet Carlisle gonna foul. He ain't even gonna let him get a three. He gonna foul their ass, send him to the line, slow this shit down. Oh well, no, that's not the case. Shepard just missed a free throw, so the Hornets could actually go for the win, um, or even tie. So let's see what Lamelo does this game. Sometimes the ball's gonna be in Lamelo's hands for him to win it. Let's see if Lamelo can go ahead and win this game. I think that'll be spectacular. Shepard hit the second free throw. Here we go. We got ourselves a game. Shout out to all y'all in the chat. You already know the Charlotte Hornets. LaMelo shaking his head on the bench trying to make sense of all this. Taking his ass in and out the game. What the hell is the reasoning for all of this? There is none. Well, a lot more to discuss. Make sure y'all tune in, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like button, hit the bell on the icon so you don't miss anything when we drop. If you want to support the channel, it's Flight Sports. We got a link pinned. It's always good and beneficial to support the channel. And Flight Sports, we've been doing this a long time. We're in no spring chicken. Um, it's 114, 112, 8 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. LaMelo leads all scorers, both teams, Hornets and Pacers. He says, I want overtime to see if Melo sits. Hey, that'll be crazy. Like I said, every time I look up, they taking Melo out the game. He coming back. Something tells me the play was drawn up for LaMelo. You got to think LaMelo hit the play last time. This would be a big play. I think. There we go. We got Sion James inbounding. Remember the last time Sion was involved. Here we go. LaMelo has it. Oh my goodness. Colin Sexton just airballed the shot. That's game. Hornets lost. What the hell was that? What the hell was that? How in the hell? So LaMelo got it. He had Shepard on him. LaMelo kicked it out. He could have gave it back to LaMelo though. Sexton trying to shoot a mid-range shot at the end. He should have gave it back to Melo. Flight. That's why I keep saying Colin Sexton needs to be traded. Yeah, Sexton should have gave it back to Melo. Melo passed it to Sexton, looking like he was trying to free himself up. And then Melo never got the ball back. LaMelo had a wide open mid-range if he would have gave it right back. So I mean, that was kind of stupid. To Sexton's credit, I mean, he takes those shots. That mid-range jumper for Sexton, that's kind of patented right there. That's not one of his go. That's one of his go-tos. Low push off. Hit that little mid-range. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's wild, y'all. This look like it's the beginning of the end for LaMelo Ball in Charlotte. Who's surprised? Seriously. Seriously. Colin Sexton shot the game winner. I mean, LaMelo, that was wild. Like I said, you got to draw up a better play for LaMelo, man. There are no plays really being drawn up either. It's Lamelo getting the ball, everybody clearing out, and him just operating. So I mean, I just don't know how long something like that is gonna be able to continue. But like I said, man, we've been terrible play. That's just terrible. That's horrible. That's not how you go out. He could have drew up something better than that. That wasn't even a play. That was isolation. For Lamelo, you had Miles Bridges. He didn't even he was in the back. He wasn't even involved in the play. He wasn't be around for a rebound crash. That was what the hell was that? As soon as Lamelo got the ball, Miles Bridges was retreating to the other side of the court. You should go replay that last shot, that last play by the Hornets. Who drew that up? Now he can answer for all the bullshit that he pulled. Why was Lamelo not doing this? Yeah, because I want to know. I want to hear his dumb ass answer for this. That's all I want to hear. But nonetheless, man, it's flight sports. You already know what it is. We could be going on all day with this shit. The Hornets, there's a disgrace, in my opinion. Lamelo should not be coming off the bench. And I hope that the Hornets and the organization, the media team, they don't make you feel like this is fair seeming, because it's not. This is dead wrong, undeserved. He didn't deserve this. Lamelo is, the talent that he brings to the table. And today he played very pissed off. It looked like he was very aggressive tonight. If he was watching, at least give Melo the last shot. This man needs. Lamelo did get the last shot. Lamelo gave it up. It looked like Lamelo was supposed to do whatever he wanted, but he gave it to Sexton. I don't know if that was. I don't know what that was about. But another loss is in the loss column for the Hornets. No, so we could slice and dice all the shit that we want. What happened? This and that. What happened was the Hornets lost again. They have another loss on their record. You know, another win eludes them. While we sit and talk about this and Charles and that, the losses just continue to stockpile. The life of the Charlotte Hornets. Charles Lee. He's not a good coach, and he should be fired. I'm trying to figure out what's the method to all this. Last year, you remember he tried to do this too. See, last year he didn't just blatantly sit Lamelo. What he did was he just wouldn't play him, and then coming down the stretch for closing time, he don't even touch the court. So this is what he has done to Lamelo, and every time he can make it seem like Lamelo is the issue, he's the holdup that saves his job. Man, he sticks around for another year. Because he always could say, "Man, what is life gonna look like when we got the team that we want? What is out? What is no Lamelo? It's just all the players we drafted, our guys that I could mold, that I could do this and I could do that. Trust me, that's what's going on with Charles Lee. That's his game. We've seen this before." But yeah, but this is big business, man. The Hornets have got to make some decisions. Lamelo has to make a decision. I do believe it's time for Lamelo to act out. I think he should have been did that. But now they basically showing Lamelo the door. It's up to Lamelo. Is he going to take it or not? Because they made it very clear that he's not the face of that franchise anymore. The face of the franchise don't come off the bench. So I'm gonna leave it at that. It's Flight Sports TV. If you're new, most definitely hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Like I said, hit the bell on the icon so you're notified when we drop. It's Flight Sports TV. This was a breaking news report. The Hornets are pushing out LaMelo Ball, MB1, the one of one. It's Flight Sports TV.